Man, let me tell you, it all started with a $2,000 fine for swimming in a lake I'd known since I was a kid. Yeah, that happened. One family weekend at Harmon Lake turned into a full-blown legal war, a land grab, and the complete takedown of a crooked HOA empire. One man, one lake, and a battle nobody saw coming. I still remember the sunlight hitting the water that morning, shimmering just like it did when I was 6, my dad carrying me into the cold mountain runoff, his laughter mixing with the breeze. My kids were splashing around in the same cove, shrieking about how freezing it was, while my wife stood on the shore, filming every second on her phone. It was like stepping into a time machine that decades melted away the moment my feet hit the water. We'd arrived Friday night, unpacked into the old log cabin my grandfather built, and for the first time in forever, I felt that week's stress start to slip off my shoulders. Harmon Lake wasn't just a lake height, was memory made physical. I learned to swim there, caught my first trout, and later taught my kids how to float without fear. This lake belonged to the land, to the history, to those who respected it. And then I saw him, a security guard standing on the ridge near the old pine stump. At first, I thought it was a hiker lost on his way, until I noticed the bright blue polo and the tiny gold HOA emblem stitched on his chest. My stomach went cold. He didn't yell, didn't move, just watched. A radio crackled, and within a minute a white Range Rover crawled down the gravel path, like it owned the place. A woman stepped out, sunglasses sharp as daggers, and walked straight toward the water. "Excuse me," she barked. "You need to get out immediately. This is restricted." I laughed, partly in disbelief. She waved her tablet like it was the Constitution. Harmon Lake is under Willow Pines HOA authority. Access is limited to residents and approved guests. I moved closer, water dripping from my arms. "Ma'am, I've been swimming here since I was 6. My grandfather's house is right over that hill. We're locals, not guests." She didn't flinch. "If you're not HOA, you're trespassing." I explained calmly that my family had lived here for 3 generations, that the lake had been open to the public long before Willow Pines ever existed. She snapped a picture anyway. "First violation. You'll be hearing from us shortly." And just like that, she walked off. 2 days later, the certified mail arrived $2,000 for unauthorized access. Repeat offenses could trigger legal action and no contact order. I set the letter down, feeling my chest tighten. My wife stared blankly. My daughter asked what was wrong. "Nothing," I lied, though everything was wrong. That lake was part of me, and now some clipboard-wielding rich lady thought she could claim it. I paced the deck that night, fingers clenched on the railing, replaying her smug face, that absurdly professional tablet, her certainty that she could just declare ownership. By morning, I had a mission. I pulled out my grandfather's old filing cabinet deeds, surveys, utility records, everything meticulously labeled. I found topo maps from the 70s, coffee-stained and faded. The more I dug, the more curious I got. Nowhere in the paperwork was there a single mention of Willow Pines or any HOA. The lake wasn't even formally parceled. Boundaries were vague. I dug into public records online and discovered the 1979 cadastral map listed Harmon Lake as a natural resourcino owner. No subdivision, no zoning jurisdiction. Then I looked at a 2015 map, a small annotation, subject to access agreement. Legal landmine. Turns out, in 2011, the children of a man named Albert Grant had signed a use and maintenance agreement with Willow Pines HOA. No deed, no sale, just murky language about limited access. I went to the county recorder's office, got certified copies, and spoke with Valerie, a clerk familiar with my family. "Real messy. No one actually owns the water," she said. "Shoreline split, but the water itself? Like fighting over clouds." I left empowered. If the HOA didn't own the water, they had no business finding me. But I didn't stop there. A late-night hunch led me to the Montana Secretary of State database. Harmon Lake Community Services LL registered in 2011, same year as the agreement. Agent, Karen Dwell's husband. Shell company, paper ghost, hiding behind it. The next day, I met with Cindy Alvarez, a lawyer I knew from grad school. Sharp, precise. 10 minutes in, she looked up, fraud adjacent. Maybe not criminal, but definitely deceptive authority. I grinned. She finished my thought. By the surrounding land, control access, control the lake. I nodded, already plotting. Within 48 hours, I tracked down the remaining shoreline owners. Walter Remick, 90, living in Arizona, didn't care tax burden, he said. Louise Hatcher, a widow, was hesitant, but a fair offer and a little extra got it done. 3 weeks later, I stood above the lake, papers warm in my hand, notarized 2 hours prior. Over 65% of the shoreline and, by extension, access was mine. The irony hit me. $2,000 fine for swimming in water they didn't own. So I bought the lake. My cousin Rob, a welder, fabricated heavy steel signs. Private property, Riverstone waters, no trespassing. I installed motion cameras, a wireless gate, and even a floating boundary line. I registered the lake as a protected recreational zone under state law. It wasn't just a lake height, it was a sanctuary. We grilled, fished, and laughed, kids splashing where Karen had once claimed we didn't belong. I sent certified letters to Willow Pines HOA. Remove all signage and floating platforms, unauthorized structures on private property. The HOA attorney, Brent Lorne, replied condescendingly, citing historic community entitlement. I laughed. Their empire was built on assumption and fraud, and now I held the deed to their playground. Within a week, Cindy uncovered HOA financial malfeasance. Karen had funneled $112,000 through a fake LLC to pay her legal team. The members had been kept blind, robbed blind. The story spread, residents revolted, emergency audits launched. CPA reports confirmed unauthorized expenditures, backdated minutes, and misrepresented invoices. Prosecutors opened a case, and Karen was quietly arrested for fraud, embezzlement, and falsifying corporate documents. The HOA faced a $330,000 settlement. $180,000 went to me. Legal fees, damages, emotional distress covered. The lake was ours. For a moment, everything felt quiet, like the world had exhaled. But humans being humans, some couldn't let it go. Slow-rolling cars, teenagers filming from the boundary SO, I reinforced security. Infrared sensors, trail cams, motion-activated lights, and Jake, the retired ranger, patrolling with his dog. I even worked with Cindy to designate Riverstone waters as a private ecological preserve under Montana law. Trespass laws tightened, conservation protections enforced, HOA access eliminated forever. The proclamation went public official, binding, and utterly satisfying. We hosted a spring gathering, invited guests only, old-timers, families iced out years ago. Barbecue, music, a floating platform with a flag reading, "You can't own a memory, but you can damn well protect it." Willow Pines residents watched from outside, powerless. Summer came, lake thriving, shoreline pristine, kids laughing. Then, a handwritten letter from Karen. No apology, but acknowledgement. She'd lost face, friends, authority. She understood why I'd fought, even if she didn't agree. I tucked it beside my grandfather's land deeds, next to a sepia photo of him holding a trout with that impossible grin. That night, moonlight on the lake, I stood on the dock. My lake. Quiet, heavier, wiser. The plaque on the old pine read, "This lake taught my children to float the way it taught me to stand. This water belongs to memory, not to meetings and minutes." Private property, access restricted by court order. Lies don't grant ownership. We didn't inherit the lake. We earned it. And I meant every damn word. So yeah, we earned it. And every splash, every sunset since has reminded me why some battles are worth fighting. The lake is ours, the memory preserved, and a lesson clear. History and respect outweigh fake authority every single time. If you've ever dealt with an HOA overreach or a neighbor claiming something that isn't theirs, drop your story in the comments. Let's talk about how far is too far when it comes to property, justice, and holding your ground.